So I'll tell you who I am and why I'm talking with you, so the track record. So just a bit about me. I finished my PhD in the United States and at 2 top schools, and now I'm working in Switzerland. I teach executive education and MBAs. I work for the Swiss Innovation Center. I basically train people on finance and how to raise finance for startups. And I wrote a book. That's probably the reason why they invited me here. Supposedly I'm an expert in the topic, so I'll tell you a very specific story within this book, because I only have 25 minutes to talk about 300 pages, of course. I coach entrepreneurs worldwide. I'm an official trainer for SeedStar World, a Swiss-based organization. We work mostly with emerging countries. So I have coached startups from Kenya, startups from Argentina, startups from Brazil. So I'm quite well-rounded internationally. And the reason why I've got all this expertise because I've run the Founder Institute Silicon Valley in Portugal for 3 years. So I accelerate, mentor, and coach startups from the idea stage up to a real company. But this is not about me today. I'm going to tell you about a company called Bloodhunt. Has anybody ever heard of them in the audience? No, it's normal. So Bloodhunt Technologies is it could be a small Slovenian company. It could be a small software company. A very interesting software that basically allowed hospitals to realize if there was fraud or not when there was a claim, an insurance claim. So I hurt myself, something happened to me, I burned myself with a McDonald's coffee, and I want $1 million, right? So this software will assess if this claim is real or it's false. And the company started back in '98, 5 founders. One of them is Mr. C. Nice fellow, he looks nice. And he has raised in '99 1.9 million and a second round of funding of 3.1 million back in 2000. Okay? Everything fine right now. And you all know what happened back in 2001, right? The bubble came. All the dynamism behind the startup world basically burst. Probably what's going on right now in Silicon Valley with all those unicorns, right? And something happened. Basically, the venture capital team said very clearly, guys, you are the CEO of your company. You have built this company to this stage. But at this point, given the difficulties you have, like the industry has, we have to let you out. We need to find somebody more competent than you to run this business, because otherwise this business will go down, okay? And you have heard this story in the past from Apple with Steve Jobs, probably. It's a very similar kind of story, right? Suddenly, you know, rocky times come in, and well, we have to change you. So what happens after 2001? Did the company go bankrupt? No, the company did not go bankrupt. The company kept going. They recruited a new CEO. So Mr. C basically left the picture. He left the company. They got more financing round. They got more funding because they were growing progressively after 2001. The bubble was gone. And they raised a total of 15 million US dollars. So it's quite a success story if you think about it. They survived the bubble. They went through the bubble. And they were able to raise more rounds and actually become quite successful. In fact, they became the market leader. So the #1 company in the United States to detect frauds in the healthcare system was Bloodhunt. Okay? Very, very successful company. And again, this could be your startup here back in Slovenia. You get some rounds, you get some funding, and you get to a certain point. In April 2011, I think we're filling up the room slowly, what happened? It got sold to Verisk Health Inc. You can check online if you want to know more about them. And they got sold for 82 million US dollars. Who would say it's pretty good? One, Elias says. I mean, it's pretty good. If you get 82 million for your small startup that you started, a few years ago, I think it's quite good as a market leader. Verisk bought the company and basically spread the software all over the United States. It became beyond the market leader. It integrated into a very, very strong company. Bloodhunt software is still used today. So what happens once you sell as a founder? What happens? What happened when you sell your company? Right? Right? You open the champagne, right? I mean, if you don't do this in Slovenia. You probably do, or you haven't sold your company yet, okay? You're happy, you party, you go out of your way because you just sold your company for 82 million, and you should be proud of it, because most of the people out there will say it's a very successful story. You have raised your company from nothing in 1998, got several rounds of funding up to 15 million, and sold for 82 million. I guarantee you this looks like a very successful story. Now, how much did the founders that built this company from zero back in 98, how much did those founders get? Any guesses? Elias, how much they got? $1 million. Only $1 million out of 82 million. How many? Each. So 5 million. Other ideas. How much did they get? 12 years. 12 years between, not much, how much? 0. What else? 10 million each, or the 5 founders? So the 5 founders got 10 million. And that would not be that bad, right? I could do a lot of things with 10 million US dollars. I think you guys too, right? So let's see what happened. So I have a PhD and I do statistics, and I tried my best way to represent this in a graph. So collectively, they got a check for 36,000 US dollars. Why did this happen? Huh? They were diluted. Preferred shares. Why this happens? Is this a common case, or is it just a one-case event that I'm bringing you the bad case scenario? It's common? So, like I said, if any of you is very good at statistics, it can help me represent this better. But the point is that there's only this very thin line out of the whole cake that came out. Out of the 82 million, they got 0.004364% of the money. So one guy got a $99 check. Can you imagine going cash a $99 check in America? I think you need to pay 20 bucks just to get it out. All right. So I hear, and I give these kind of talks pretty much around the world now. And I hear all the time, especially in less developed countries such as here in terms of venture financing, all of you are looking for venture funding. You see success once you get funding from a VC. Most of you will believe it's a metric of success. You got blessed by God because somebody gave you money. And you think from now on everything will go well. But the truth is, once you get specifically venture capital money, the game changes. The game changes, okay? And some people tell me, well, Carlos, this is a one-case event. Stop your bullshit. You know, it's not going to happen to me. So this is a research, again, an academic research. We took a large sample. We tried to understand what's going on in the United States with venture financing. And what we found is that nearly 50% of the founders that get venture capital money end up with 0 in their pocket. How many founders we have in the audience here? 1, 2, 3. Only 3. So this is a real statistic, my friends. If you get VC money, there is a huge probability of your 10 years of hard work in your company without getting a paycheck, suffering, being called a startup for so long, might lead to nothing. 10 years of your life wasted. Okay? Only one case. Only one single case did the founders get more than the backers, out of a sample of 60 deals. So people tell me, well, Carlos, look at Facebook. We look at Mark. Mark is doing fantastic. I mean, look at him. He's running his company. He took it from nothing. He's a kid. He's my age. He's my age. I can be the Zuckerberg. Statistically, guys, Zuckerberg doesn't exist. Zuckerberg is 1 in a billion. And what happens in reality is this. So the probability from the time you get VC money to the time you get to an exit for you to be the CEO of your company is very reduced, right? You see the statistics. Maybe you should take your money and your time, drive to Perla where I'm hosted, and play on the roulette. I think you have their 50% chance of winning. Okay? So they will tell you, and I deal with the venture capital industry in Portugal specifically quite a lot and in Switzerland, and what they will tell you is, you know, we like your company, we want to invest in your company, and we just have these standard terms. Could you have a look at them? And it's interesting. I just did this talk a few weeks ago in Morocco. You cannot imagine the quantity of people coming on the end talking with me. Because they sign without looking at it deeply. They read it, they don't understand half the terms on it, but they believe if it's standard, you know, I should just sign it, and that's the way to go forward, right? And what happens in the end is that they sign it, and they come running to me at the end of the pitch and say, Carlos, I just signed this exact same thing. I signed a deal about 6 months ago. I didn't even look at the term sheet. Well, what do you want me to do now, okay? So there is certain terms, and again, I have a whole course for executive MBAs and MBAs on that. I take 40 hours to teach these, so I cannot go in detail on that. What I can tell you is this: get the best lawyer you cannot afford. Get the best lawyer you can find on the market. He can save you from that. So there is, I call it a secret memo. When you talk with investors, and you might talk with a couple of them in the other room, when you talk with investors, there is a secret memo that they don't tell you about when you talk with them in the beginning. They tell you about the secret memo about 4 or 5 years later. And I will tell you about the secret memo. VCs, venture capitalists, will see you approximately once every 6 weeks. They manage more than 10, 20 companies. Okay? In their portfolio, they have about 20, 30 companies. In the US, if we talk about Sequoia, we're talking hundreds. They might not know your name. Okay? And countless times, they basically, on the parking lot, they park in front of your company, okay? And they're picking up their sheet and say, who the hell are we talking with today? Who is the name of this guy? Okay, I got it. All right, what is he does? Okay, good, 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 good. They don't even know who they're driving to. You're just a number. You are a high-risk investment, period. That's it. You're one of the numbers in their portfolio, okay? They have 30 investments. They know statistically 2 to 3 will be big wins. All the rest will be peanuts, okay? Point. That's how VCs think. They invest in other people's money, and that's how it works. And their goal is not to be your friend. Their goal is not your well-being. They don't want you to buy a yacht to cruise the Croatian sea. That's not their goal. They want to give return to their investments, right? They have to give return. Thus, if you're not delivering what you're supposed to, you're out, okay? It's a hard fact. It's a hard reality. Venture capital money is the most expensive money on the market. Think wisely. If you need it, if you want it, okay? It's the most expensive money on the market. Always, always, always review your contract term sheet with a very competent lawyer. Not your brother, not your sister, not your uncle. I'm talking about a very competent lawyer. How do you find a competent lawyer? How do you do that? Who has a startup that is developed? You don't remember. How do you find a competent lawyer? Yeah?
You ask other startups who they used. And
okay. So it's a good way. You go talk with other startups that have been successful, that have maybe had an exit, and were not broke, okay? We're not broke with the exit. They did get money. And ask which lawyer you use. My favorite is this. If I'm talking with a very specific VC, I go to the competing VC, and I ask them, hey, which lawyer do you work with? Just to know. And they will usually informally tell you, well, I work with Mr. John, blah, 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 and I just take a note. I'm going to use their weapons against them, right? So I use a competing VC that has done hundreds of deals. I use their lawyer for my deal. So that's the way you get a competent lawyer. Don't use your uncle as a lawyer, okay? Please don't do that. VCs are looking for an exit, period. They might be friendly. They might smile. They might buy you lunch. They're looking for an exit, point. The day they have to cross you out of their balance sheet, they will. And just to turn off, 50%. Guys, it's 50%. So if you look at here, you know, half of you guys will have nothing after working 10 years for your own company. Gets nothing at the end. I'm not talking like those guys. By the way, those guys are not part of the statistic because they got $36,000. Okay? Those guys are somehow lucky, right? They got something out of it. You get my point. What I'm saying is that they don't get anything out of it once you get VC money. Now, I'll tell you the truth, what happens in reality. More than half the young companies in the United States raise every single penny they need by themselves, okay? Either from savings, either from cash flow from their own business. You might not need a VC, you might not need external funding. The number one comment I have when people come to me is, Carlos, can you introduce me to investors? My question to them, how much of your own money have you put in the company? And they tell me, well, Carlos, I don't have that money. Wait a minute. You're 50 years old, you're telling me about all your success track record, and you haven't invested your own money in your own company? What the hell is wrong with you? What's your problem? Alcohol, drugs, prostitution, gambling? You must have a problem. You're 50 years old and you don't have money to invest in your own company. This doesn't work, okay? Use your savings. Use your friends. Use your family. You don't have one unique friend that believes in your company so much that he can put money in your company? Your parents, okay? And this is the truth. More than half of the young companies get all their funding through savings and cash flow. Less than 20% of the fast-growing companies in America today get VC money. Do you really need venture capital money? You have to make a decision, guys. Do you want to be famous and brag about how much money you got from an American VC or London VC or Slovenian or Eastern European VC? Do you want to be on the news or you want to be rich? You want to be famous or you want to be rich? Be clear on that, because I meet a lot of entrepreneurs that are here just for the fun of it. So they can brag, well, what do you do? Well, I'm an entrepreneur. 0 sales, but they're entrepreneurs, okay? I just want to show you this graph. Basically, it says total startup investment. And what we can see is that more than 50% of all the cash in value, not quantity of deals, but in cash value, angel investors and family and friends are the largest part of venture funding you find in the industry, okay? It's not VCs, my friend. VCs on the back. And they're dying slowly. They're dying. By the way, I work for 2 VCs, so I'm guilty as myself, okay? I work with 2 VCs. If you don't need it, don't get it. Because that will put you a very interesting contract with very specific clauses that are problematic. So if you don't need it, don't get VC money. Get angels, get bank loans, talk with your friends. And there is no better way that you own your own destiny. Why would you give a share of what is yours to venture capitalists? Do you really need them? So it's just about the reflection here. I want to show you the facts, I want to show you what happens, and the case of Blood Blue Hund is not unique, okay? Like I said, it is not unique. So I just wanted to do this reflection, and I think I have, it's blocked. I don't know how many minutes I have left, but I have a few minutes left. How many? 10 minutes? So I have a few minutes left for questions. If you have some questions. This is my contact details. If you add me on LinkedIn, tell me who the hell you are. You saw me here doing a presentation. You talk with me afterwards, because I have more than 500 invites. And I don't know who they are. Yeah. I don't hear you.
How do you see corporate ventures in this?
Okay, so good question. Corporate venture capitalists are basically large corporation. Imagine a Google, a Microsoft, or Petrol here in Ljubljana in Slovenia, where they want to basically invest in your startup because they see synergies between your product and their product. It depends. So there is sneaky corporate venture capitalists out there, and there is very good ones as well. What I would do again is get back to your lawyer and see if there is no copying. So what they used to do in the past, and I see this track record from Portugal, they will say they help the startup, they will say they will support them and increase their sale, they'll just copy the technology. And the poor entrepreneur didn't have a good contract and got screwed, right? So the way to deal with them, there is very good corporate venture capitalists, amazing ones, I'm sure of this. It's really, really good, because what can a large corporation do for you? They can sell your product like nobody else, because they have the distribution channel, right? They can reach customers. So once you enter into this kind of area, make sure to have a great contract. So if they say, and we did this recently with a large publisher in Portugal, one of the companies I sponsored and I have an investment in, just got venture capital money, corporate venture money from a large marketing agency in Portugal, the biggest in Portugal. What did we do? They said they will open us the doors to new clients. So we said, how many in the next 12 months? And they said, well, hundreds. How many specifically? Because we want that number down, we're going to multiply that number by the average sale per company, and we want that money to come into our accounts in 12 months. Because if it does not, we get back part of our equity we gave you. You understand? Putting very clear metrics and milestones so you don't get screwed up. Thanks for the question.
From my opinion, it's always, when you are searching for additional fundings, it's always the main question is, does this funding really assure your market permission? And if this is the case, then you have to consider this type of and you exactly explained the same,
yeah.
More or less.
Absolutely, absolutely. More questions?
Do we have questions for Professor DaSILVA?
So there's often a belief that if you get a good professional early stage angel or VC, they're going to protect you from the sharks and bring you to the guys who are going to give you access to markets and that sort of thing. Can you talk about that?
Okay, so what happens is when you have a startup and you pitch to investors, they will tell you they'll do something for you, right? Usually angels will tell you, I'll open my network of contact, I'll work with you to open this door. So they will tell you that. So how do I validate that? How do I double check that? So I say, great, fantastic, I'm very happy about this, and this is going right into our interest and our interest of our company. Could you give me a list of the startups you have worked with in the last 5 to 6 years? And could you give me the contact of the CEO? Because I want to make a few phone calls. And I want to know to what extent what you said 5 years ago to them became a reality today. So that's what I do. I do background check. I spy on them somehow, right? But I tell them, I'm going to call the CEOs that you give me. And if they don't give me that list promptly, I know something is strange, okay? I know something is strange. I never take money from a company. I always take money from individuals. So even if it's Sequoia Capital from Silicon Valley invest in your company, who is the person with who you're dealing with? What's his name? Do you like him? Do you trust him? Don't go by big brand names, go by people. Same thing with corporate venture capital. Who is the person within the company which is the decision maker and you're going to deal with? If you like him, go for it. If you don't like him and you're desperate, don't take the money. It will be worse off. You will be worse off, believe me. Did I answer your question? Good.
Actually, bit of a follow-on. Also, what about the adage that you get a shark in early so we can protect you from the other sharks?
You talk about this protection. They don't protect you. so they will never really protect you per se. The only person that can really protect you, in my opinion, is your lawyer. Because that's the one that's going to write the terms. Because at the end, any investor that comes in, as nice as he is, there is a lot of, not so capitalist angels investors out there, people that are just there for the fun, and I don't advise you to get money from them. But if you have an angel investor or a corporate venture capital that want to make money out of this, he's going to look always for his interest first, then yours, okay? Always his interest first. So you have to protect yourself against any kind of investor that comes in. And the only person that can do that for you is a very competent lawyer. And I told you how to find one. Okay. More questions? We have time for another one, I guess. Yeah.
Can you give an example of a term that could hurt you as a startup?
Okay. So the VCs or investors are looking only for two things. They might tell you they're looking for your team and your technology. They just want two things: economics and control. Okay? They want to negotiate a good price with you and control. That's it. That's what they want. They don't care about your team and how nice you are. Economics and control. Board control. Why did Steve Jobs got ditched out of his seat? Why did Mr. C got ditched out of his seat? Because investors, when they came in, they asked for board control. Well, we need a board member from our VC firm, and we're going to elect somebody else we trust to be also part of it. So if they have majority, if they have control, they can decide together, you know what? You no longer needed here, so we just ditch you out. So that's the first thing. Board control is very important. Then it goes back to voting rights. So who has the power? Is it unanimous? Do you have veto rights? So a VC might say, you know what, in the event of a sale to a larger corporation, a trade sale, we have veto rights to say if we want to sell or not. So even if you're very excited because you're going to sell your company for 50 million and make a great profit, the venture capitalists might say, you know what, this is only a 3x return on our money. We're looking for 5 to 6x return, so 6 times our investment. We're not there yet, so you're not selling. So that's the kind of clause they can put in. My most important clause, and they will always have it there, but there is a way to go back against it, It's anti-dilution. Anti-dilution, it's the most complicated clause, and that's why they got nearly nothing, Mr. C. Anti-dilution basically says that we're going to set the valuation for your company today, and you might be very happy with that valuation today. You might say, God, you know, we got millions, we only gave 10% of our company away. This is amazing, our company is worth today 20 million. You know, we really did a good deal. Wait, what about next round? So imagine next round you go to the market and nobody wants to invest in your company. Imagine everybody looks at it, 20 million? Pff, guys, who was the VC investing? He doesn't know what he's doing. He does. He does very well know what he's doing. And they say, you know what, your company is not worth 20 million. Your company is worth at most 10 million, and that's called a down round. What happens there? Well, you know, we have an anti-dilution. Where is it? Doesn't matter. We have an anti-dilution clause in our contract. Thus, the valuation of your company came down. We're not going to be hurt. The reason why the valuation went down is your fault, because you didn't perform as an entrepreneur. So what we're going to do? We're going to dilute you further. You owned 20% of the company last year. Imagine you owned 60% of the company 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Since another round is coming at half the valuation, your 60% now are 30%. It's not really this logic. It's a bit different. We have to do some math. But basically, you end up from 60% of your own company, you end up with 30%. Anti-dilution clause. Very, very, very tricky. A good lawyer will find a way around, but you always have to have it. You cannot just cross it from the term sheet. Did I answer your question? More questions? Do we have time for another one, or are we done?
The last one?
Anybody? Good.
No? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.